Well, they just opened up Texas. They gave us 100% opening up the whole state finally after a year. We're, I think in 2 weeks, we're a year away from the 2 week closures that they predicted a year ago. So it's been quite an ordeal for all of us nationally and actually globally. And a lot of interesting things have come out of this pandemic and this COVID-19, a lot of innovative things. Of course, the development of vaccines in record-setting time, and then a lot of innovations from our amazing people in this country, our manufacturers. One of the people that I refer to constantly, and you've seen on the show many times, is Caroline Blazovsky. Caroline is she's the healthy home expert, and she is an expert in keeping your air quality clean and your homes clean, and she is an amazing lady, and I'd like to welcome to the show Caroline. How are you? Good morning.
Hi. Hi, how are you?
I am fantastic. I'm fantastic. Now, we talked recently about you've got a new product with IVP that you've developed. Tell us all about it.
Well, we've obviously everybody knows that we need virus protection, but amongst that, we also need to protect ourselves from any other potential contaminant that could be coming along the line as far as a biological goes. So at My Healthy Home, we formed a relationship with a company called IVP, which stands for Integrated Virus Protection. And they developed this really great technology, which you can appreciate. It was out of Texas A&M. So down in our great state of Texas, we got some super technology.
Just make sure the on and off switch works.
I checked it out. It's good. We're good to go. So, and how this technology works, Alex, is that we all know what HEPA filtration is, right? High efficiency particulate air filter. And a lot of these filters are quite large. And when we put them on HVAC systems, they do really great at catching a lot of particulate and pollution. But in our case, with the virus or something like COVID-19, not so great. Virus is small, can get caught up in the filter, but it can also still get out. It's still an active virus once it's in there. So what this company did out of the great state of Texas, that is the second promo, is they invented what's called heated HEPA filtration. And so what that is basically inside of this HEPA, if you will, we've got a technology that heats this space and heats the virus and heats anything that it comes in contact with to about 200 degrees Celsius, which is almost about, give or take, 400 degrees. I think it's like three and change Fahrenheit.
So
right?
you could cook some chocolate chip cookies in there.
Yes. So what happens is the virus goes into this filter and basically is eliminated.
Oh,
And
wow.
and this was tested according to FDA standards. It was tested at Galveston National Laboratories, not only for COVID-19, but also to work against anthrax. And anthrax is one of the contaminants we worry about a lot with, being so difficult to eradicate. And of course, you hear about it with, bioterrorism and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So fantastic technology. So I'll let you ask questions.
It's not just, obviously it's not going to kill just one contaminant. It's going to attack any contaminant that gets in it, right?
Yeah, or anything that can really be affected by that high temperature, which makes it interesting to me looking at it from an indoor air quality perspective, because I want to see, okay, well, what could it do for mold? What can it do to other proteins? What can it do for maybe VOCs? We don't know yet. We know the technology has been approved to work and eliminate COVID. But I think there's a lot of, big time future for this product. And that's why we've gotten behind it and chosen to become a distributor for the company.
Well, we're going to pop it up on the screen real quick and take a look at it. And you can explain to us exactly how it works.
Cool. Well, I like that. So, and two, with this unit, so these are the mobile units. And so what's great about this concept and this technology is we can utilize it as a mobile unit. So if you don't have an HVAC system that is a forced tight air system, or you don't have air conditioning with vents, maybe you have the electric system, maybe you have a baseboard hot water or steam, you can go with a mobile unit, which is fantastic. And these can be placed in areas of high traffic. We're using them at hotels currently, hospital situations, doctor's offices. So anywhere where you're going to have a lot of high traffic, you can utilize this. I have one in my home. I have the R1, which is there's different range sizes. So we have a travel one, we have an R1, and we have what's called a V1. So very, very different sizes for mobile application. But the greatest thing about this technology, it can be retrofitted to your HVAC, which I love. So we can take this technology and take out your cruddy filter that basically can pass bowling balls, and we can institute this.
So this actually replaces the filtration system in your home.
Yes.
Wow, that's amazing.
Which is fantastic. And we're doing it. And if you see that chart that you actually showed compares it to a lot of the technologies that are out there currently. And this goes winner, winner, chicken dinner across the board when comparing it to a lot of the competitors. When I look at filtration, and we carry a lot of it, my concern is always, if we're doing something, what's the byproduct, right?
Mm-hmm.
So are we putting ozone in? Are we maybe using ionization? And ionization is sort of where we charge particles and adhere to each other. Well, those technologies work great, but if you're not utilizing them with a good filtration, they kind of fall short. So this system really stood up for me as far as comparisons to other units and technologies that were out there, and that's why I got behind it. You know me, I'm pretty particular about
well, yeah, you are, and you've got so much experience in this field. I would trust pretty much anything you tell me. Now, I've got a couple of questions. If I'm a homeowner and I decide I want to put this system in my house, and I call my AC company and I say, hey, I want to replace my HEPA filter system that's up in my attic with this new IVP system, what is going to be required for them to do that? I mean, do they need to run new power? Obviously, with the heating element, is that a 220 circuit, or is it a 110, or how would that work?
Okay, so yes, it is a 110. So you will have an electrical component to this system. Mm-hmm. The biggest thing right now is because the technology is so new, the HVAC companies aren't as familiar with it, right? So that's our job, and that's why we're working as a distributor to get the word out so people can start to utilize it. Size, Alex, always becomes an issue with any residential system, whether you're putting in dehumidification, whether you're putting in needlepoint bipolar ionization. If you're using any kind of technology, we're always limited with space. And so I ask our architects, our builders, and that's why I love to come on the show, is when you're building a structure, give us space. We need
right. And so is it gonna, there's obviously gonna have to be some sort of adjustments done to your system to integrate this into it. But if I understand you right, then is it replacing the blue light and everything? It replaces anything you've got in there?
Pretty much. I mean, it's got some, like I said, because it's new, we don't know how it's going to hold up with volatile organics and things like that. But what I'm looking at it as from a biological standpoint, I think it's got a great potential. And you may have to utilize humidifiers, dehumidifiers, that kind of technology you'll need. That's not going to handle stuff like that. And it's also may or may not work well on volatile organic compounds. So you may need an ionizer, or it depends on what the issue is in the house. But as a general across the board filter, I think it's got huge potential. That's
very, very interesting. And the thing that fascinates me is, in particular with COVID, there's now all of these new COVID. There's another a California version of it and an African version of it, and there's all these where it's sort of morphing, and it sounds like this would be something that would give you a lot more protection than even a mask if you're having to, if you have one of these new types of COVID introduced into the air.
And my background was epidemiology, so I was spending time getting a degree at University of Southern California. Unfortunately, we got so busy that I couldn't finish it. I'm still in the program, so I'm hoping to. But this issue with the pandemic is going to be something we are going to face, as far as I'm concerned, moving forward. There will be other viruses that present. This is not the last one, and flus, et cetera. So I think that this technology, a lot of places in the world, especially China, they're very prepared with sensor systems and also filtration to handle things like this. You know, they're used to things like MERS and SARS originating in their neck of the woods. So they're much more prepared to deal with it than we are. And so moving forward, indoor air quality and how we ventilate, filtrate, you know, dehumidify buildings, all of that is going to become crucially important to how we operate. And there's a lot of things called IoTs, which are the Internet of Things. And these are systems that sense for us, right? And so a lot of the companies like Brown Newtone are already utilizing these technologies where they can sense humidity, they can sense CO, they can sense CO2, and they automatically open your windows, they turn on ventilation. And as we move forward with sensing systems, I think that's the future. And we will definitely be implementing them into our building structure, and people like you will have to incorporate them into the building as we progress.
People like you will have to tell us how to do it. One of the other things that I think that we're going to have to tackle in going forward is the byproduct of people that have actually experienced this virus. In other words, they're going to have different sensitivities. We're finding out that there's permanent damage being done to a lot of people, particularly in their lungs. And it seems to me like this would be the type of product that you would really want to have if you've got a condition like that would make you maybe more vulnerable or more sensitive to particulates in the air.
That too, and I think that, you know, the information that I've read about the vaccine in itself, it's preventing you from getting strains that are more aggressive and potentially keep you out of a hospital situation. But I don't think they know yet whether it will eliminate you getting COVID altogether, right? Mm-hmm. So you could get a lesser strain. These are airborne viruses. This transmission with COVID-19 in particular, or SARS-CoV-2, is an airborne transmitted disease. Very few, or if any, surface contact. So if you were to touch something and then touch your face, this really comes from airborne transmission. So it's very important to be treating the air so that if someone in the building coughs or sneezes near a return, we're not depositing that throughout the entire structure, right? So we're able to, once the air gets pulled into the return or pulled into one of these units, it's immediately eradicated and it no longer becomes a viable source of the disease. So that's really important.
So are these units readily available for us?
Yes, we have 3 units currently. The T1, which is a very interesting concept, is a very small unit. It does about 500 square feet. Great for say someone has a hospital stay, say someone has to travel to a hotel, they take it with them. It's battery packed. So they made it so that it could actually go into a space with you. So, I mean, you could technically take it on a plane, you can take it in a car ride with you. I like it for use in car dealerships where people are taking out cars all the time and they're changing and they're afraid, they're wiping down all the interior of the car to make sure no one's cross-contaminating. This is great. You pop it in for 15 minutes and you're done. So
it just kind of cleans the air that's in there.
Exactly.
Very interesting. Very interesting. I love that.
So I think, so that's the smaller one. And that one is yet to be available. It'll be available in about, they're saying 4 to 6 weeks, but the bigger ones, the R1 and the Venue, which are big ones that go in hotels and concerts, they actually had it at the Super Bowl. Those are available now for purchase.
What's our price point on these things, Caroline?
So the little one runs about $1,000, give or take. The R1 runs about 6,000, give or take, and then the bigger ones run, about 20,000. So they're not cheap technologies. That's, I would say if there's any downside to any of this, but as things come out, and they always do get less expensive, it seems, as things move along. Newer technologies are always more expensive. Look at your new iPhone when it comes out. It's costing a leg.
Well, no, I mean, and that's right. I mean, you've got to start somewhere, and there you'll have competitors before you know it, and the price will start going down, and you'll have different machines. We'll have to keep track of and make sure they meet the standards.
That's the thing. The company really did their due diligence when they IVP, and kudos to them, because that's what I look at. I look at what's the standard for My Healthy Home for our company and what kind of products can we put in. And they brought us the data. They brought it to me and said, look, this is going to work. Here's the science behind it. And I beg your audience, a lot of the products that are out there right now are claiming to work against COVID-19 and SARS-CoV-2. and they're doing independent studies that were placed under a hood, not in actual conditions and real life expectations.
Mm-hmm.
And they may not be effective. So a lot of businesses are putting these in under the pretense that they're going to have really clean air, and unfortunately they're not doing what they need to. So you need to make sure that you've got something that's been, FDA approved or has been approved to work on the elimination of COVID, in my opinion.
Well, no, I totally agree with you, because what you don't want to spend, whether it's $500 or $5,000, it doesn't matter. If you get a machine that isn't going to operate and you have expectations, you quit worrying about it, you let your guard down, air's being cleaned, and then all of a sudden you're sick.
And a lot of these companies really pursued early on in the COVID, pandemic. A lot of these businesses, look, you can open your restaurant, you can open your bar, you can have people in. And unfortunately, a lot of the technologies, they spent a lot of money, right? Because people wanted to jump the gun. They wanted to be ahead of it. And we just didn't know enough about the virus. We didn't have enough research. And so they spent a lot of money, these businesses, to put in systems that unfortunately, aren't working the way they should be.
Well,
So,
the thing's, it's still brand new. It's still a brand new virus. I mean,
That's right.
we're so far, we're light years ahead of where we would have been just 5 or 6 years ago in getting this far with vaccines and technology. It's truly, truly amazing. And it takes a great American company to do that, doesn't it?
Yep. And it takes a lot of people, right?
Mhm.
It's not the company has the technology and they have the manufacturing, but then, they need the distributorship and the marketing and all of the things that go into it. And so hopefully that's the piece we're hoping to bring to IBP. And we've been, very successful. And, as a national expert, I have a platform and been very helpful in getting their word out. So I think, we all work together, and hopefully we'll be, getting technologies down to people so they can get back to normalcy and a safer environment for sure.
Can you please tell me what normalcy is?
That's like going to a restaurant with your family and not having to worry, right?
Yeah, right. Well, I really appreciate you taking time out. I'm really, really happy for you with this new product, and I'm so proud of you. You've been doing so much lately. You're speaking. Have you written a book yet?
I wrote a book a while back. It was years and years ago. So for me, I'd have to have a ghostwriter because I just don't have time to do it. I need like 5 of me.
I have to have a
But
ghostwriter that can type.
and knows indoor air quality, which is even a bigger challenge. But right now we're doing, I presented at the IAQA global annual meeting and conference. So that was really great to be able to spread that kind of information to indoor air quality professionals across the country. And we've got a lot of kind of cool things coming up. So hopefully we get the word out and everybody just, gets healthier.
I
That's my goal.
really, really appreciate you taking time out for us today, and we'll continue to keep track of the IVP device. What's it called?
So that's what it's called, IVP.
IVP. Okay. All right. That's what I
So
thought. I
it's
just
easier
I looked at the paperwork on it and I went, I'm not really sure what it's called. Thank you so much. And Carolyn Blazovsky, who is my healthy home expert, check her out, check out her website, and look at this new product. And Caroline's always available if you have questions. Thank you, Caroline. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.
Thanks, Alex.